What do you love the most about the Dominican Republic and Dominicans?
Oh wow, there's so much to love. Um, I love the beauty of Dominican Republic. I love the fact that it's a tropical country. I love it. I love the beaches. I love the landscape. I just love the environment, the atmosphere, and the fact that you can see so many different parts of Dominican life. Every part of Dominican Republic is not the same, you know. There's the countryside, but then there's the city, and then there's the resorts and all of these different things. I just love the beauty of that and the dynamic of it. I love when I get to Dominican Republic and I know that I'm there because as soon as I get off the plane, I hear the music. There's people there welcoming you, playing the traditional music. And then you get outside and it's just this smell in the air of it's uniquely Dominican. Like I smell food, you know, that's just unique to Dominican Republic. And when I get to the countryside, it's that smell of like, you know, barbecue basically, you know, the fogones, you know, out in the open air. It's nothing like it. I love all of that. And it's just very nostalgic for me because it's what I grew up, you know, kind of always going back to. My mom was very purposeful in that, making sure that you know, we still stayed connected and we understood, you know, this is where I come from. You know, this is how I grew up. So no matter what struggle we have here in the States, you know, because we struggled, you know, when I was growing up, it's nothing compared to what people live, you know, back home. So it was very humbling. I'm grateful for that experience that I got to really see that growing up, and I came to appreciate it when I got older. Of course, I love the food. I mean, I could have Dominican food all day, every day. I love our food. And about Dominican people, there is a warmth, you know, and a hospitality. I would love always just going to visit my grandparents and knowing it's like everybody knew who my grandparents were and everybody knew, you know, this is so and so's granddaughter, you know, and this is her daughter. And people would just kind of look out for each other. Everybody knew everyone's name, who lived across the street. If there was a kid that was supposed to be in school and they weren't, excuse me, you know, I know your mother, I know your father. So it was just that like familiarity, the fact that, you know, like a lot of cultures, you know, will say the same thing too. It makes it special to them. But what's beautiful within Dominican culture, I say my experience is just the fact that family is valued, you know, just the value of family and community, really looking out for one another, making sure that everybody's safe, you know, and supporting each other. So all of those things are beautiful to me. And I love them. I love how like we just have these unique words that we come up with that are just like, what does that even mean? But as soon as you hear it, it's like that's a Dominican phrase. I don't know anybody else who says que lo que. I don't know any other people who say that. You know, I mean, it's just these phrases and how we come up with them. It's just, it's amazing to me. It's very unique. I think you just know right away. You can immediately identify a Dominican accent, you know, even with different dialects across, you know, the country. And I think that's just beautiful. We have just our own uniqueness, you know, about us, and people always know like that's a Dominican thing. This is what Dominicans do. So all of those things, I love them.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you. I've been to Dominican Republic a lot. You know, I have property there. Part of my family is Dominican as well. So I do love the country, love the people, love the culture. They're definitely very warm. And I like just, they're very fun-loving people. So every time I go there, I always feel so alive. So those of you watching, tap in the comment below. Let us know what you like the most about Dominican Republic. Please tell us what you dislike about DR and Dominicans.
Wow. Okay. So I will say I hate the mosquitoes. I hate going back home, and for the moment I get there, I'm jumped by mosquitoes. Since I was a kid, I would get bit so, so bad. I hated that so much. It was just getting bit by mosquitoes and scratching myself constantly. And again, I think anybody who goes back home to a tropical island or, South America, that's just what's gonna happen. It's what it is. But I guess, I don't know, maybe they just knew. It's like, you don't, you're not from here. So they came, they would attack me. But that part I would say I hated. And when I was a kid, now I appreciate it. When I was a kid, I hated just going to the country because again, my family they're a humble family, poor family. And, we had a latrine. There was no bathroom. So, there's a latrine. I hated going to the latrine. It would freak me out. I was always scared to go to the latrine. Um, I didn't like the mosquito nets, and then I was afraid of flying cockroaches, all those things. I mean, it was things that I was like, oh, I don't want to be here. I was just being a little brat when I was a little girl, and I would complain about those things. And then I didn't like the food because I was, used to McDonald's and, Burger King and all this other options of things that I could eat. So I was a little spoiled in that regard, and I didn't learn to appreciate, my cultural food until I was maybe about 10 or 11. Then it was like a light bulb went off. I don't know what it was that I ate, and I was like, this is delicious. I'm like, what is wrong? Like, it just like my taste buds really kicked in, I guess. But those things were like little pet peeves of mine. I hated the electricity going on and off in the countryside, hot water. When we would stay for about a month. And then, there's no hot water. So that was a big shock to me. So it's like when I wanted to take a bath, I would have to fill up a jug with water and put it on the roof of the house to warm up with the sun. So I knew it's like, okay, I'm gonna put my 2 jugs or 3 jugs up there until like maybe by the third week, then I was used to the water and I was okay. But it was just those little things I would just complain about. But after like I would say I was 10 and then I went back again at 12. I really embraced all of it because I recognized, I hated my mom would make me leave all my clothes. I'm like, why do I have to leave all my clothes? What am I
Right.
going to wear? I would get so mad. But, when I got older, again, at about 12, it really hit me like, appreciate what you have. Your struggle is nothing compared to what your family goes through here and what so many families go through here. So it was very humbling, and it really taught me to appreciate everything in life, to be content no matter what I lacked, because somebody else is always going to be going through something worse than you. You just don't know. So it made me sensitive to that, and it made me appreciative, so that when I would go, I would just like, I'm going to take in every moment. I'm going to enjoy, the fact that the light went out right now. And you know what? Let me run around and scream with my cousins and play tricks, and just enjoy the time. And if the water's, too cold, it's like, okay, take a cold bath, enjoy yourself. So I just began to appreciate all of those things. And I was learning from my grandmother, watching her cook, how she cooked, the traditional foods, and listening to her stories, how her and my grandfather grew up in the Trujillo, era, and the things that they witnessed, the things that they saw. So all of it was just great experiences that I didn't learn to appreciate until later. Now, as far as like what I can say I don't like about Dominican people, and again, like anybody, we're not a monolith, of course. And sometimes people get very defensive, when you say something, they think you're generalizing people. Sometimes I think generalizations are warranted. Everybody knows, of course, you're not speaking for every single person. We're individuals. But I think sometimes a generalization may be warranted when something happens so much and you can't ignore it anymore. And it's like, this is a character trait in a community. You have to acknowledge it. So what I would say as far as that, only thing I don't like is just how there are still Dominicans that embrace this normalized white supremacy. And it's just like it's nothing, or the downplaying of the fact that it's real and it still happens. I hate the culture of, this whole vende patria culture of people, that you're a sellout because I'm speaking the truth. because I'm saying something you don't like or you don't agree with, that doesn't mean that I hate my country or my people. And you don't get to decide that. You don't get to say what makes me Dominican or not. I don't need to fit your criteria of what that is, because I know who I am and I know what I value and I know what I love. And it's, to me, it's really comes down to a lack of emotional intelligence and emotional maturity when a person is not able to take constructive criticism about something. It's like, you can say all the things that are beautiful about the Dominican Republic and our people. I have a whole list. There's so many things that I love. I'm never ashamed of my culture and my background. My mom lives in the Dominican Republic right now, you know, and I love my Dominican family there. And I love all the beautiful things that I was taught. And I don't see a conflict with that. And being able to honestly say, yes, there is still some Dominicans that are racist. There are still Dominicans that are anti-Haitian. There are still Dominicans who are anti-Black, and that they perpetuate these thoughts and behaviors that are just very toxic, to Dominican communities. And it's what continues to just really draw a wedge further and further down into between ourselves and other communities, and specifically our relationship between Black American community, with Black American community and the Dominican community. There's a whole history there that really needs to be reconciled. There's a lot of healing that needs to take place there. There's a lot of conversations that still need to happen, because a lot of the back and forth, and all the issues, it's really stemmed in hate, hatred, but also hurt. There's a lot of hurt there too. And there's a legitimate, the legitimate instances of things that have happened from both communities towards one another. Our communities have hurt each other. So it's something that I definitely would like to see healed. And I come from a multicultural ministry. We have Latinos in my ministry, from people from South America, from the Caribbean. We have white people in my ministry, Black Americans, Africans in my ministry. There's Indians in my ministry. We're very multicultural people. So even within that, I know what that healing process looks like. I know what those conversations look like, because we've had them and we've had to confront them amongst ourselves. So I believe that it's possible. But, I hate when there's this unwillingness sometimes amongst some Dominicans to have those conversations, because there's a lack of honesty. And that's what it is. You can't build with someone who's not honest about where they are and what the problems are. So,
Right.
that's really what I would say about that.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for sharing that. I totally understand what you are saying. And part of my my channel's mission really is to unite all of us. Dominicans, Africans, because I see a lot of Dominicans, feel a certain way about Africans. But we'll get to that question later. But thank you for sharing, and I totally understand what you are saying.